how did you start having the interaction with your circle of influence? Was it offensive, defensive? Were they coming to you? Were you going to them? Let's just kind of unpack that process as we get into this
That's
conversation today.
that could take up the whole hour alone, but I will make it as short as possible. When I say what I'm about to say, it's about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. I am a introvert by nature, so I'm kind of used to going to my little whatever and doing my own thing and running my own stuff by myself, which I found to prove very challenging at times. But I kind of preface that by saying when I went to my first event at Grant Cardone, I was very uncomfortable. I can't tell you how uncomfortable I was just to talk to people. I'm not the type of person where I can just go in and start up a conversation and try to. My brain doesn't work that way. My brain works in a different way of hey, I want to get into the stuff and I just want to tell you what I know and I want to share my story and things like that. But there's got to be an opening conversation there. So it was a little bit uncomfortable. However, I think it's necessary to start that process. And some of you guys here may be extroverts, and more power to you because it's only going to benefit you in being that type of or having that type of personality. But it is certainly a step into having to take action and approach people and talk to people and find out what people's interests are, find out what kind of skill sets they have. You need to find out what kind of skill set you have that's important, so that you can fill those gaps or those voids for whatever weaknesses you may have. And that's certainly one of my weaknesses. And Jonathan, Sergio, and Jana, they all provide that part for me personally. I'm good at things that I do. I like to negotiate deals and I like to do those kind of things, but it's super important to find your superpower so that when you have these conversations and you go to these events, you know what type of person you're looking for. Because a lot of times what's happening is you're having conversations that they're not necessarily not meaningful, but there's a better, you could be more intentional about your time when you're going to these events because they're going to be, the Grant Cardone, for instance, there's thousands of people there. I mean, and you literally can't meet everybody. So it's very important that you be intentional about your conversations. And in order to be intentional, you've got to know what your superpower is and what you're looking for. You certainly don't want to find, if I was there, I don't want to find another Sean Rice House that can't talk to people or that's an introvert or that likes to do underwriting or likes to negotiate. I already bring that to the table, right? So I think going into these events, whether you have a W-2 job or not, I still had my W-2 job, at the time, but I ended up either taking off work or some of them are on the weekends, but it's a very taxing. I guess it's a lot of time consumed in trying to do both. So it can be done. I'm living example of it being done, and making that transition starts with getting into the room, taking action, figuring out what you want to do, what you enjoy doing, or what you're good at, or what your superpower is, and that way you can complement that with by speaking to other people and finding out what they want to do. And it could be as much as hey, I need boots on the ground in Florida right now, right? It could be that kind of a simple conversation. You got to start with finding out who you are, what you're doing, how you want to bring value to a team. And those conversations, whether comfortable or uncomfortable, have to be had in order to be able to start forming those partnerships. So super important to get out there, communicate, and get your name out there. It seems like it's a lot of information and it's a lot of things coming together. If you want to take action, you want to make it work in this business, you gotta be willing to commit.